This episode requires us to share some important information. Earnings statement. Senior directors and above earn annual income achieved by fewer than 1% of Color Street independent stylists. Their earnings are extraordinary and not typical. As with most opportunities, you can find exceptional individuals performing well above average, while others perform below average and perhaps make no money at all. The earnings of an independent stylist are based solely on the successful sale of products to consumers in accordance with Color Street compensation plan. Independent stylists will incur expenses in operating their Color Street business, such as the initial business kit purchase, e-suite subscription, product purchases, and annual renewal fee, if any. With Color Street, you have an opportunity to earn income, but it takes hard work to make substantial income in this business. An independent stylist's success depends largely on their personal commitment, hard work, business skills, and market condition. An independent stylist's income is not representative of results, and Color Street does not guarantee any income or rank success. For the average annual income for the Color Street independent stylist, please see the full Color Street income disclosure statement at www.colorstreet.com/income disclosure. Catapulting Commissions family, what's up, team? Welcome back to this week's episode of the Catapulting Commissions podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Garcia. Are you back for part 2? And you're wondering, if you're watching the video, why in the hell do I have nails, like painted nails? And gotta be honest, these are American flags and glitter. I am really comfortable with my masculinity. I personally don't wear nails, but if you're that person who enjoys wearing nails, kudos to you. This may be the right fit for you, but this is a fun conversation piece. I have Ashley South, CEO of ashleysnailaddiction.com. She is a national executive director with Color Street. She is the top 0.1% of the entire organization. She's completely crushing her goals. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, go back and listen to the episode because we talk all about sales and how a government employee made the transition from the quote unquote real world traditional job to being a independent owned business, commission only, eat what you kill, badass. Welcome back, Ash.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So let's jump into this. So last episode, we talked sales and we talked tons about the sales and the transitions you made and the things you did. One of the things that we didn't talk about on the last show, and I guess it'll be a great place to pick up. You said you hate motivation.
Oh.
I got to be honest with you, man. There's times where people are like, Anthony, you're a motivational speaker. So I'm like, okay, this is this is like, whoa, dagger here.
Sorry.
And you're not thick skin. Help me understand. What is it about motivation that you hate? You said you don't believe it's real.
I just think that it's misleading. I think that people have like this image in their head, and you are a very motivational speaker. I will say.
Appreciate it.
But I think that people think that they have to feel motivated at all times in order to achieve their goals or in order to show up to achieve their goals. And I know you know because you've been in the trenches, which is why I love coming on here. You have all this experience. You are not always motivated. Like a majority of the time, I am not always motivated to do my job. It is not always rainbows and unicorns, and it is not always fun. And I don't always feel like working. Believe it or not, like I don't always feel like working. But you make the decision. It's a decision just like I'm going to be a good parent. I'm going to be a good wife. I make the decision to run a business and I show up whether I feel motivated or not. And I'm sure you're a coach. So what are those excuses that you hear about motivation? I'm sure you hear them too.
Oh, I hear them all the time. The comp plan sucks. I'm not making money. I'm tired. Other companies are paying more money. My wife or husband don't like this. I'm working a lot of hours. People don't want to buy. You hear that shit all the time. So
yeah, and I think they're looking for like some external motivator to like fire them up when really you just have to make a commitment to yourself and be consistent. Just show up. Just keep the doors open. And I'm an online company, but I tell my people like you have to, if you're a tire shop or whatever else, in order to make a profit, you would have to have your doors open. You'd have to show up when you're sick. Somebody have to open those doors. You'd have to show up when you don't feel like it. You'd have to show up when it's your birthday. You have to show up and keep those doors open. So even when you're not motivated.
I love that. The fact that you can share and you're not always motivated.
No, I'm not.
Fun fact, I'm not always motivated. Right. There's a lot of times where I'm unmotivated, but I guess I understand where that motivation. People want to feel motivated all the time, but motivation without execution is just waste, like point blank. If you have to get motivated every day and you don't execute on that motivation, it's a waste of space. I was really fortunate enough to hear Jim Rohn speak, and this is nearly 20 years ago. This is a guy that like kickstarted Tony Robbins and kickstarted a lot of people. And I'll never forget, he was like, there's motivation, there's education, there's all kinds of different things. Motivation enough isn't successful. And what he says is if I have a dummy who's on my team and I don't educate my dummy on my team how to be successful, but I motivate him and I motivate the hell out of him, what do I have at the end? He's like a motivated dummy. So we don't want motivated dummies. You want to take that step to be educate. You want to take that step to execute. You want to take that step to step out of your comfort zone. As I say that, I still look at my nails.
They're fabulous, by the way.
Which I think are amazing, right? 100%. So let's talk leadership in sales. There is a stigma, right? Or not even a stigma. There is a calling. When people are successful in sales, they naturally make this transition to leadership. In direct sales, I mean, that's where money's made, when you can lead. In corporate America, when you make that transition from an individual contributor to a team leader, and you're responsible now for other people making money, it's a different level of responsibility. So let's start there. Do you believe, because you're a leader now, correct?
I am, yes.
Yeah, right. You have 1,600 people. How many leaders have you developed?
Well over 40, I would say. I mean, yeah, into leadership positions, probably well over 40.
Okay, so you've developed 40 people into leadership positions. How long has it been that you've been with Color Street?
Oh, 20 months, I think.
20 months. So in less than 2 years, you developed 40 people to a position of leadership. I mean, that's 2 per month that you're averaging right now, right? In the people that you've developed into these positions of leadership, are leaders natural born leaders?
Ooh.
Is that such a thing?
The question. I know you've talked about this on your podcast before, because I'm a fan and I watch. I think that it's both.
Okay.
I think that there are people that are just natural born leaders. It sounds like your daughter is one of them. She's disciplined, she's strong-willed. She's got like this drive for life. I was one of those little girls, constantly bossing people around, constantly asking my parents why, constantly wanting to do my own thing. And I would say that I have natural leadership ability. But there are leaders on my team that, with the right development and skills and steps and processes and nurturing, they may not see themselves as a leader yet, but they have it in them. And they may not identify with the fact that, like, just being a parent is being a leader. Like, you are a leader in your home. You're a leader in your church group. Like, people don't see themselves like, I'm not leadership quality. You're doing it. Like, you're doing it right now. And so I think that it's both. And I think that if you only think that leaders are born, you're missing out on this whole pocket full of people that have such great potential just because they're not like your typical type A personality.
Yeah. You hear it, and you look at leaders, and being a leader in your own home. I mean, we experienced our first leadership role from a very young age. I mean, pre-teen. I'm a big fan of, I love watching a group of kids get together for a sporting activity, classroom project. Someone always naturally steps up to become a leader. That person, yeah, that's that natural born leader. That's like, oh, you're there. Still a skill you have to coach. You have still a skill you can develop. But I've also seen leaders incredibly successful that never wanted that role, that don't want to be the leader, that would prefer to be out of the spotlight. Do you have any of those on your team?
Can I tell you a story?
Oh, please.
It's actually the person that introduced me to you. Her name is Charlotte.
Okay.
I did not personally enroll her, but I saw her on my team, and she just worked so hard. You know, like the hard workers, and they just catch your eye, and you want to build a relationship with them. Well, Charlotte is the exact opposite of me. Very soft-spoken, very, very kind and loving, very warm and empathetic.
So you are not warm and empathetic or kind and loving.
I've been told I'm not at times. Know your strengths and your weaknesses. Anyways, she is just a lovely human. But she was timid, and she was demure, but a hard worker. And so I scooped her up for a 3-month mentor. I asked her if she'd be willing to be open to pushing outside of her comfort zones and trying things with me. And she was all about that life. And she tried and did things that were not her normal routine. And she is my fastest growing leader. Like, she gives me goosebumps. She was at that Women in Business conference that you were speaking at. She got your book. She read it. She gave it to me. She's just a go-getter. And she wouldn't be somebody where, if you're like, who's your strongest leader on your team? When she first started, she probably didn't think of herself as like this balls to the wall, grinding leader, like everyone being like, what is she doing? And at this day, she is, in her own way, in her own kind, soft-spoken way, she's killing it as a leader. And I love talking about her because she's not what you would think of as like the type A, like bossy leader, and she's killing the game. You know,
that's one, kudos to you, because in order to identify talented people, that's a skill set. In corporate America, in the corporate sales structure of B2B people, I sat with sales managers and sales leaders, and I asked them, it's a trick question. I say, what's the number one job of a sales leader? And everyone's like, oh, to hit quota, hit revenue, hit budget, make commission, blah, 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 all this other crap. It's all false. Like, that's a given. Like, that's your expectation. The number one job when you become a sales leader in corporate America is to recruit and retain top talent. when you are in the direct sales industry and you are in a commission only structure and your livelihood of your business grows by the leaders you develop, that really becomes your job. So now you're no longer just selling nails. You're selling the vision, you're selling the dream. Not only are you selling it, you're executing from it. From what I'm hearing with the strides and growth you've made with Charlotte, it's not just a pipe dream, you're actually delivering to her. So kudos to you to recognize and retain that talent. So there's somebody on this show or someone listening to this show right now that's in your organization that maybe doesn't have that relationship with you. How does that person stand out to you?
Well, I look for certain characteristics. There are a lot of people on my team, and I'm sure that all of them would like to work with me, but I'm looking for people that are team players. Like, are they posting good are they helping each other out? Are they active? Are they trying? I'm looking for people that want to learn the business first. Like, I didn't get to where I'm at just because I was like, ooh, I'm a leader, recognize me. Like, you got to walk the walk and talk the talk. And so I'm looking for people that are selling, that are consistent, that are at least attempting to enroll, trying to talk about the business. And that are really just engaging in our team culture. So I'm looking for a good vibe. Maybe not my top sellers. Like, the top sellers are not always the best leaders. And I had to learn that in a very painful way. But your top sellers are not your best leaders. I'm looking for people that are taking care of other people and are showing up every day.
That's so true in so many aspects. I've sat in executive meetings where we talk about, do we promote high performing sales professionals to leadership positions they're not ready for? I'm a big believer in no. They do more harm to themselves. They do more harm to the company. They do more harm to the team and to the culture. You talked about culture right now. You said you were looking for someone that fits into that culture. What is that culture that you're building on your team? And follow up to that, once it's built, how do you nourish it and keep it growing?
Gosh, culture is so important. I'm sure we've all been at a job where you go there and you're like, oh my God, this is awful. Like, the culture's bad, morale is bad, and like, you just don't want to be there. People don't want to stay at jobs that they don't like, where they're not happy, where they're not having fun. And so I feel like this is something that I had to educate myself on with having a large team, but especially I've never worked with mostly women. I've never had a team dynamic of a lot of women. I've always worked with mostly men. And so I really had to, there's some amazing books, The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle I've read. And they really discuss in length, like, these big successful companies like Google and like teams that are high functioning, like the Navy SEALs and stuff. What they do is they have their own pact. They have their own, a feeling where it's just theirs. And so we have really worked hard on our team to make it not just a place that sells nails. Like, and it's not just like a sisterhood. Like, we're not just like, oh, it's my sister. But like, we have a virtual book club. I'm a leader on my team. Her name is Kayla. She created a virtual book club where we cover Catapulting Commissions and other books, like leadership books and things like that. We have events. We do fundraisers now where we can give back to our community, because it kind of has to be about more than just making money. And we have get-togethers. We do virtual parties. We do girls bingo night for people that are out of town all over the country. And so we have to really create a connection there, because that's when people want to work with each other.
Yeah, that culture that you create, there's a saying, right? People will quit a job or a company really fast. They'll quit a friendship really slow. It's really hard to walk away from a culture that you want to be a part of. And when that culture exists, it's so attractive for people. They want to join that culture. I mean, if you go all the way back to some of the direct sales, like original companies, I'm going back like Mary Kay, Amway, Kirby Vacuums. I mean, they would have these massive sales meetings, Primerica, where people show up, they're completely motivated. There's somebody on stage completely geeked out. Everyone's fired up. They want to be around it. It's contagious. That culture that people create, there's still some value. And like I said, Jose and Marissa Cho, one of the number one downloaded show on Catapulting Commissions in 2020. I watched videos of their sales meetings. It's all culture. People are jumped in high five. COVID forced people to get creative, because you had to take that from showing up and rah to delivering it. So how did you got the book club. Was that a challenge for you? I mean, you've been in the business 20 months, so I don't know exactly when you got this role of leadership and being responsible for this group of people. You mentioned you do some fundraising, some live events, and then you mentioned like book clubs and virtual book clubs. Was there a struggle with trying to keep that culture across both the in-person and non-in-person events?
Oh, yeah. It is still something that I try to balance and try to work on, loving on people, making people feel valued and heard. And people do need to have autonomy, and they need to have a voice, and they need to feel valued. And so, yeah, that's definitely a struggle. And at first, when I joined the business, it was just about making money. But it's really hard to get people on your boat, and it's really hard to get people to want to work hard for you if they don't feel loved and they don't feel like they're a part of something. So I spend a large majority of my time just thinking about how do I make our team stand out from other teams? What is so amazing? Our team name is called the Boss Nail Babes. We have our own Instagram account. We have our own videos. We let stylists share their stories and talk about their families, and we highlight all the work that they do. And so I think any leader in sales really needs to highlight like their people. They need to make them feel like they're a part of something, whatever that something is.
Yeah. Get together, create fun. People want to stick around.
Right. It's why people join gangs. I mean,
it's the truth. It is.
We're kind of like a nail gang.
Boss Nail Gang. Boss Nail Gang Bakersfield. I love it. That is one of the toughest gangs out there, because you are empowering people to think bigger than what they thought about themselves. And if you really think about it, you go on that gang culture, that's all that does as well. They empower them to think they're bigger than they can be at that point in time. And some of them eventually get there. In corporate America and business America and sales America, all we're doing is empowering you to believe in yourself, to get something out of your life that you can't quite see for yourself. So I love hearing that story of that culture that you've created. Now, when you're building culture, it's fun, it's exciting, success. There's the opposite side of that. There's failure. There's failure that takes place in every business, in every sales company. And there's failure. As we're speaking right now, somebody in your organization had a failing moment this morning, last night, within the last 24 hours. Where do you see people who fail struggle? Like, they fail, they're down in the dumps, they're ready to call it quits. Like, what turns that failure to a permanent failure to that was just a bump in the road?
Oh gosh, I'm sure you come across this too. Failure's a big one. Like, I think since we're tiny little tots, we're taught that failing is bad and winning is good. And if you fail, you suck. And if you fail, you suck. Like, if you get a D on a report card, you failed. You're bad. You're getting spanked. If you do this, you fail. You know that's bad. But like if you're a business owner, you have got to fail and like it's a part of the job until you get it right. And I think that it takes a mindset shift. And working with leadership again, I think that business is all mindset. Like, you've got to wake up and be like, I'm okay. Like, how do I prepare for failure? What do I do if it fails? What's my plan B? What's my plan C? What's my whatever? And how do I talk myself into coming to work again tomorrow if it fails? And a lot of people want to give up on that first fail. They get in their head and it's boo-hoo, like, oh, I'm a victim. Oh, I suck. But the failing is just learning in business. Maybe if you fail on a report card in third grade, you're going to get spanked. But in business, it's just learning. And I think that the more people are willing to fail and the higher tolerance they have for failure, the more successful they are. And so on our team, we make almost a game of failing. It's like, how many no's did you get today? I'm sure the go for no concept is not new, but we also share our failures. Like, hey, I did this today, it didn't work out. This is how I'm overcoming it. Hey, I did this today. I talked to this person. She said no. This is my approach next time. And so we openly talk about failures and make it not this like taboo topic.
Yeah. Embrace it. Embrace the suck. Like, you have to get there. I look at the failures and I share this, right? I have been launching a podcast episode every week. I do a video blog every week. I have some episodes or some video blogs or video accounts that have 20,000 likes. I have some that have 10. Lately, I can't get anybody. I don't know, right? The only reason it'll fail is if I stop.
Right.
And that's all I keep telling myself. And I look at it and I'm a big Gary Vee fan. I love Gary Vaynerchuk. Sometimes some of the stuff he says, I'm like, I don't completely agree with. But what I love about it is his story. The guy did Wine Library on YouTube with really nobody watching, and had a small following, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. That's the definition of, I'm not going to fail. I'm going to keep going. That applies in business, like 100%. I tell people, if you're experiencing failure now, that's great, because that means you are about to get it out of the way. And nobody's successful without failing. Like, we all fail. We've all sucked. You heard it. I mean, even in the last episode, we talked about my first business. Yeah. I failed. It's a part of life. So to hear you say that, that's really enlightening. Now, Ashley, I know we talked, and you said there was a couple questions that you wanted to ask me and ensure that we can provide value. And I want to ensure that your Color audience gets what they're getting from this show. My Catapulting Commissions family is loving the value we're hearing here. I think we've talked tons of failure. We've talked tons of growth opportunities. What can I answer for you? Well,
I know we talked about this a little bit, but I would like to revisit it because I've had some time to think on it. I know that I asked you like, hey, I'm at this point in my career where I'm hitting the top 0.01%. And my goal of, being home with my kids and, paying off all of our debt and, doing A, B, C, and D, I've met those goals. How do you redefine goals? Like what, because I know that you're all about the goals, and I love the goals in your book. How do you help people redefine goals?
Oh, that's a really good one. I look at that. You're not alone. And I had a great conversation with a mentor of mine, a couple of his sales reps on his team, and we're clearing $700,000 a year income, year in, year out. And he's like, Anthony, I'm running out of motivation for these guys. Like I can't motivate them, right? And I'm a big believer in, I ask a question every time I interview somebody. Are you motivated by money? Or are you motivated by recognition? Anyone who says they're motivated by money only, when they get enough money, they're no longer motivated, because the success happens, right? I don't have to worry about bills. I don't have to worry about college. I don't have to worry about this. All of that comes in. So if the question is how do I reframe that goal? How do I look at it differently? The goal has to get bigger. The goal has to get scarier. And that's it. You get to a certain point where you look at the goals and you're like, okay, how do I make this goal bigger? How do I make this goal scarier? And it's not always monetary, right? It's not always monetary. Have some people count on you. So I would say, okay, if I want my goal to get bigger, I need people to be counting on me. Simplest, if I'm just brainstorming off the top of my head, if you're experiencing that level of success, adopt a family for Christmas.
Accountability.
Yep. Adopt 5 families for Christmas. If you're experiencing that level of stuff, get involved in the nonprofit. You said you're giving back. Then I look at it, Ashley, and I would say, okay, legacy. Let's talk legacy. There's wealth. There's generational wealth. There's generational legacy. And if you're experiencing that level of success, how do you experience that generational legacy? Because it's really easy to pass money down, right? You make some money, save some money, put some assets, have a corporation, boom, kids, you're good. But what about their grandkids and their grandkids? Can you be the person that creates that generational legacy? And the answer is you can. It's just really hard. And a lot of people give up before they get there because of the failures, because it doesn't happen overnight. Look, I got to be honest with you. If tomorrow, all of a sudden, my home popped up with an oil well that shot off a bunch of almonds left and right, and I never had to do anything and just collect mailbox money, yeah, that's generational. That's fun. But if I'm building it from my scratch and I'm building it on my own and I'm putting systems in place and investments in place, there's some value in that. So I would challenge you, if you're at that plateau of your goals, let's think bigger. And if you go off the goal setting, I talk about in Catapulting Commission, there's things as smarter goals. Smart goals are great, but those alone are dumb. E in the smarter goal setting is emotional. R is rewarding. If your goal isn't emotionally scaring you, isn't rewardingly scaring you, like if you aren't afraid of that goal, it's not big enough. So to get there, Ashley, I would say, let's think a little bit bigger. Let's go with generational legacy, and let's get some of that accountability, as you like to say. I like to say, have people relying on your success. Oh, your goals will get bigger. It's the equivalent to saying, let's just shrink it down a little bit. Your kids rely on you to feed them, correct? You're always going to work your ass off to feed your kids. Adopt 100 kids. Holy shit, I got to work harder. Same concept.
I like that. And like thinking of generational wealth for like a broke single mom for 14 years, like that is a concept that's hard to wrap my mind around.
I bet.
It's scary, but like that's what it should be, really. My goal should be scary.
100%. I love it. The fact you just said it's scary, that's how Catapulting Commissions started. That's the whole concept and the premise of what I teach. If it doesn't scare you, you're not going to do it.
Right. You're not going to grow.
You're not 100%. And when you look at I am just like you. When I look at generational wealth, I don't know what that is. I didn't come from it. I didn't have I remember being in college and having $6 in my checking account, and I needed to eat food and hoping my debit card wouldn't have there was no little bonus fee on my debit card. Couldn't call mom because mom didn't have money. And I was like, shit, this is supposed to last me for 2 weeks. What am I going to eat? I remember those days. I never want my kids to experience those days. Matter of fact, they're not going to experience those days, but I don't want my grandkids or my great grandkids. Like, I want to create that, not by giving it to people. I'm like, oh, hey, here's all this, but here's the business. Here's the opportunity. Here's the how. Not the fruits of your labor. That'll be there, right, to take care of necessities and give that. But I want you to grow out on your own. I mean, I just had a conversation with my stepdaughter earlier today. I said, look, I found on eBay right now, 100%, there are people selling Mexican candies. You know all the Mexican candies you get? They're putting like 20 pieces of Mexican candy in a little box, calling it Mexican candies for sale. $18.99. Selling on eBay, $3.99 shipping. So for $22, I'm like, That is less than $4 of candy. Take a box, cellophane wrap. That's a $6 product. That's a significant markup. Showed it to her. I'm like, what are your thoughts of this? She's like, I'll do it. I'm like, 100%. We're going to Cabo San Lucas next week. I'm like, let's go buy candy. Let's go buy a bunch of candy. Let's buy $200 worth of candy, bring it back. Let's turn to 2 to 6. Mindset. So that's that generational.
Yeah. Speaking of generations, sorry, I'm just taking over your podcast.
No worries. Please do. We have time.
All right. So I have a team, and obviously I'm a number 1 enroller in my company, and I have a lot of different people from walks of life that enroll with me. And I kind of have a niche. Like I'm looking for people with a little bit of grit, maybe some mess ups in life. Like I like people that have been through the trenches because they are willing to work through some failure and some problems. Do you find that, like, you know, what the legacy we're leaving for our kids, they're not going to have that $6 in their debit account feeling. So do you find that younger generations coming into sales don't work as hard? And how do you combat that? How do you identify it?
Oh, that's a really good question. And I'll share that with you. That's a challenge for people all the time. Matter of fact, for my group of colleagues that run in my professional circle that I know make, let's say, they qualify in the top 2% of income earners in the US. We've had that conversation. We're like, okay, what are our kids going to be like? What are our grandkids going to be like? I look at it now, and people that I hire and manage, I like you. I love the story. I love the struggle. One of the top reps that I work with that has worked with me in my organization, single mom and 2 kids. I hired her with 2 kids under 2. I think there was one was maybe a month half. The other one was like 14 months. I mean, they were really close. And she was told, like, I'm not the right fit. I'm like, holy shit, yes, you are. You know what? You can't afford to fail. She's a top performer, kicking ass, amazing. But then I have other people that I've worked with that have come from that level of success, that had money, that had parents that set up retirement plans, college plans. You know, they don't have to work. And when I get those people in my organization, I have a point blank conversation. It's all goal driven. What is that goal for you in life? And if that goal in life isn't scary, then I won't work with that person. But if that goal in life is scary, then I'll bring them on. So that's how I hire and retain people. And if the question is how do you get someone to get off that generational wealth? It really becomes, you have to create this independently on your own. And I have told, you know, I've listened to Dave Ramsey. You've listened to Dave Ramsey before, right? I listened to Dave Ramsey for years. I love some things he says. I completely dislike some things he says. But one of the things that he has shared that I think there's so much value in is he offers his kids when they were in college, if you save a certain amount of money, I'll match it for you, right? I have a 20-year-old stepson at home, been in his life since he was 14. So we've grown together. Same deal I offered him. Save a certain amount of money, I'll match it 100%. Before you graduate, you come to me and say, this is what I saved, and this is what I'll match. The other day, I did a temperature check where he was at versus where he wants to be. He's not where he wants to be right now. And I look at him and I'm like, hey, I'm just letting you know, right? The bill, you graduate, that bill, that float ends. You have an opportunity to get 100% return on your money. It's not because I want to give you the money. It's because I want to teach you something that you're going to take with you. So it's a struggle. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. But for me, it all goes down to that person's goal. And I have found the people who have had a successful upbringing where they've had success, they continue that level of success when they have a goal that's bigger than themselves. They have a goal that's bigger than the family. They have a goal that scares the crap out of them. If they don't have that goal, that internal motivation to get what they want, because mommy and daddy always pay for them, it's a tough conversation. And it 100%. The beautiful thing about doing what we do, we get to choose who we work with.
Yep.
So, you know, I would say this: anybody who's worked with me, who's come from a privileged lifestyle, we've had some heart to hearts, and I don't ever like, oh, you come from a privileged lifestyle. They'll just know by my interview. So talk to me about your goals. What do you want? Where do you want to be? And I'll say this, people are successful. I have somebody in my organization. She is 28, 29, bought her second home. She came from a very good family. She was very, you know, I wouldn't say she was top 1%er, but she was very comfortable. She's one of the hardest working people I have on my team. Her goals are massive.
Good.
And I'm like, and I told her, I'm like, holy crap, I'm a butcher age. Let's say 28, 29. I'm like, you're intimidating. She's like, I've gone on dates with guys. I intimidate them. I'm like, well, yeah, dude.
Right.
Fuck yeah.
Good.
You're making almost $250,000 a year. You own 2 pieces of real estate, and they're looking at you.
He can't afford you.
Yes. I'm like, he is terrified. It's not a you problem. It's a him problem. So you find people like that.
Yeah, that's true. I see that in sales too. And I feel like some of them you can work through, some of them you can't, but it's something you need to identify early and have that conversation with. Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. And I will tell you this: the reason I press all my kids to work hard, get in a goal, get something uncomfortable, because I want them to experience that failure. I want them to go and be like, holy crap, I failed. Yep. Fundraisers, for example, I literally hate fundraising. When fundraisers come home and kids have brought home chocolates and candy bars, I look, I'm like, dude, how much do you need?
Just cut your check.
Yeah, you're trying to fundraise. You need $300. Can I give you $300 and go give the fucking candies to someone else? I don't want to do it. But lately, you look at it and you're like, okay, I want you to do it on your own.
We all had to do that. Growing up, we had to do it with the little radio flyer wagon.
100%. So now there's some value in that. So I do like seeing the kids struggle a little bit.
Yeah. No raising weak ass kids.
No, zero weak ass kids.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle though, because you want to give them the world, but you don't want weak ass kids.
No, my girls right now are on iPhone 7 or 8, and they're like, we are the most uncoolest kids in junior high. I'm like, I don't give a shit. You want the iPhone 10, 12, 13, or whatever the hell it is coming in? Save some money, save some allowance. Show me you want it.
Or keeps talking that smack and you're going to get a flip phone. Yeah. Okay? You think you can't go down? You can go down.
Yeah. I actually told him, I was like, 7th grade, I'm like, I had a beeper, kids. And I don't even understand. I didn't have a phone. I had a beeper, and I was like, and it got taken away from me if I got in trouble. And it was $8 a month. And my mom made me give her $5. Like, this was not a game as a kid.
So funny.
So
beepers.
Pretty much my grandma paid for it. That's how I got the $5 a month. But grandma spoiled me.
Jeez, these kids. Okay, so what is your... I'm all about team no excuses. You know that, like, I'm like no bullshit, no filter. What is your least favorite excuse that you hear from someone when they can't reach their goals?
Oh my!
Like least favorite.
Jeez. Least favorite when they can't hit their goals. Well, I'll say this. I hear a lot of excuses when people can't hit their goals. My least favorite is when somebody doesn't even try. So it doesn't matter what the excuse is. If you don't try because you believe the excuse, then I'm incredibly pissed off. I'm like, what do you mean? You didn't even try? You believe the circumstances? So when I hear the excuses, right? There's family. There's I'm stressed out. I had personal stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of excuses that come up. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big mental health advocate. I even say it in my book that if you have a mental health day, you might have to have a mental health checkup. I get it. But you also have responsibilities.
Right.
You have things you have to do. And so when the excuses come to me, it's a skill versus will issue for me. If you have the skill to do the job, if you have the skill to be successful, but the excuses you've told yourself, that will, you say, I'm not going to do it. Like I'm just not even going to try because of whatever reason the sky is gray today and I like it when it's blue. That shit pisses me off, like 100%. And I tell people in my organization, any one of the companies that I'm involved in, any one of the companies that I own, 100%. If I care more about your success than you do, then I'm not the person for you.
Right.
Because I'm not gonna hold your hand. I'll open the door. I'll show you the way. Hell, I might even push you, but I'm not gonna walk you through the door. You have to do it on your own. So it's not so much as what the excuse of when I heard them all. It's more the reasons behind it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, definitely. The excuses are hard to work through for me. I mean, just because I don't see any value in excuses. Okay, like what's our solution? Like how are we solution based? How do we find a solution for it? So I struggle in empathy, I think, you know, we talked about that too, but no, that's good to know, actually. I wondered how you handled excuses when they come through your door.
Yeah, I mean, I think here's how you handle excuses, actually. If someone's giving you excuses over and over again, and they're coming to you saying, hey, I didn't make my social media post because, I don't know, my kids had graduation. Oh, okay, I'll give you an excuse. They used to drive. I don't hear it so much anymore because I don't have employees that work so much on the weekends. But when it was Mother's Day, Father's Day, those, and don't get me wrong, I love my mom. I'm a dad. I get it. Mother's Day, Father's Day, I'm not going to do something because it's Father's Day weekend or Mother's Day weekend. And I would have people who, and this was back in selling Cutco. We would sell Cutco Friday nights, Saturday mornings, Saturday nights. And I would have reps like, I'm not going to sell any Cutco this weekend because it's Mother's Day weekend. I'm like, okay. So you're not going to sell anything because it's Mother's Day weekend. Nope. Do you sit on a shrine and put your mom on a pedestal and bow to her for 72 hours? No. Okay. Do you do it for 48 hours? No. Do you do it for 24 hours? No. What the hell are you doing? Oh, we're going to go to dinner Sunday night. So am I. I'm going to go have dinner with my mom. I'm going to have a barbecue. I'm going to take my mom to brunch. I'm doing the same thing. You're telling me you can't work all weekend because it's this weekend? Get out of here. Right. So when I hear those, the excuses that come with that, and you look at it and you're like, if you're not willing to put in that work, yeah, it's not for me.
Yeah. Same.
So,
and it's hard when you're not someone's boss. Like I love in sales, like if you're join like my company, like I ain't nobody's boss. No. I can't tell you what to do. You have to want it.
Oh, that's right. This is where I was going, that you do have to want it. I was like, I knew I lost my train of thought right midair. As I was saying, you have to tell people what's going to happen by not doing it.
I love this.
Yes,
I love this.
You have to tell somebody when they come to you with the excuses, Ashley, and they're like, oh, I didn't make the social media post because my kids are graduating. Well, what day do they graduate? They graduate Friday. It's the Friday before. All right. Yeah, we're planning a party. Okay. How many people are coming to the party? 50 people. That's a good sized party. All right. How much time do you think it's taking planning? Oh, every day. You're planning this thing every day, all day? I mean, do you have Chef Nobu himself flying in here and catering and everyone's getting picked up on a Crystal Palace? No, right? You're not. But here's what you tell somebody. You have to tell people the failure they're going to experience by not executing. So as a sales leader, we do this all the time, especially when you're not someone's boss. This conversation is even more important. I'm in a position where I'm someone's boss. So I tell somebody like, hey, I gotta be honest with you. And I start the conversation saying like, look, there's no joy in firing anybody. I'm not, and I tell people all the time, I'm like, dude, I know on paper it says I'm your boss. I'm not really your boss. I'm your manager. I'm your mentor. I'm your coach. I'm your teammate. I'm here to show you what you can get. At the end of the day, people are like, yeah, you're still my boss. So you can make these decisions for me. I choose not to. When and in some of the companies, I have people who are independent contractors who work with the Catapulting Commissions Sales Agency who do things independently. And I simply say this: if you don't do this, if you don't show up to work, if you whatever the excuse is, let's just Mother's Day weekend. Let's just use it. I'm not going to work because it's Mother's Day weekend. Great. If you don't show up and work on Mother's Day weekend, you are going to miss Thursday because Friday you're going to be, oh my gosh, Mother's Day weekend. I can't do anything. So you're going to cut out halfway early on Thursday. You're not going to work Friday. You're not going to work Saturday. You're not going to work Sunday. You're going to show up Monday morning tired because it was Mother's Day weekend. And then you're going to have a half-assed day on Monday. So you really just lost 5 days. You're going to come Tuesday. You're going to have no pipeline. You're going to have no leads. Everybody that you had that was a warm lead the week before has already forgotten about you because their attention span is small. Now you're going to circle back with them and try to sell them something. You now have lost that element of friend, consultant, advisor. You're now a salesperson because now you're engaged in a conversation for the sole benefit of myself. You're going to do this. You're going to take the time off. You're going to come to me 2 months from now and you're going to say, hey, this isn't really working for me. I go get a job at Starbucks. I'm going to go do this because I can't make money here. It's not that you can't make money here. It's you're not showing up when you're supposed to. So I would tell you that, Ashley, tell people the failure they're going to happen the next time they give you the excuse. Hey, no problem. I'm not your boss, but I just want you to realize here's what's going to happen. And I would even turn on them like, look, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I wouldn't be a leader if I wasn't going to tell you the failure you're going to happen. Like, and tell people. And for corporate America, Catapulting Commissions family who's listening, you can ask the people who work with me. I point blank say, hey, guys, if we're going to walk off a bridge, I'm telling you, hey, we're walking off a bridge. Like you are literally going to fall off. There's no safety net.
Yeah.
Just tell people the failure they're going to experience by those excuses.
Yeah, and it connects to that emotions.
100%.
That's where you have to get them.
100%.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else for me?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure I will ask you a bunch after this ends, but I'm always picking your brain. Always. Oh, I do. What would you say? And I know that you're always talking about adding value. Like sales is providing value. And I like that. Like to me, sales is a service of love. Like if you can provide something that helps someone or is an answer to their problem, you don't have to feel like salesy. But so many people are like, I would love to sell, but I hate this. I don't want to feel pushy or salesy. Ooh. Isn't that like your biggest pet peeve? When people are like, I could sell, but I don't want to be salesy.
Yes, 100%. I hate that whole concept of sales. It's not my biggest pet peeve. My biggest pet peeve, I'll just say it on air, is when people are like, oh, I can do that. I can do sales. You can come spend a day in my shoes. And I love it. I mean, my brother-in-law is he's a steel erector. He works with his hands a lifetime. He's like, oh, I could do what you can do. I'm like, that's the equivalent to me telling you I can climb up 72 stories, stay balanced, be in a harness, not be nervous, and tell somebody they're putting something the wrong way. I can't do it. What I do, I know I'm not, it's not the manual labor, it's not different things, but there's a skill set acquired. So that's my pet peeve. I'm like, oh, I can do what you can do. Then do it. Anybody can join a career in sales. But when it comes to people saying, I don't want to be pushy, sales isn't for me. You said it earlier, right? Sales is service, is an act of love. I believe that. But to really get someone to understand that concept, that I'm not a pushy salesperson, is trying to have a conversation with you for their own benefit. So when someone's like, oh, I don't want to be a pushy salesperson, you're only a pushy salesperson because you're selling something for your own benefit. Like, oh, buy this, I get a commission, I'm happy. It's no longer a pushy process when you're solving a problems for somebody that adds value to their life, right? One of the things that I talk about all the time is the psychological reason that someone says yes in sales. People will say yes to your sales offering if you can, one, enhance the quality of their life and give them pleasure. Two, you can help them avoid a pain or a loss. And if your product or service or offering can help that person either experience a pleasure they've never experienced before or avoid a pain or a loss, then you're not pushing, you're not selling, you're solving a problem. So much so that I teach small business owners when they come to me like, hey, I need help with my company. I simply say, what's the one problem your company's solving? Like, oh, I do this, this, and this. All right, that's great. What's the one problem you're going to solve? Like, let's identify the one problem you're going to solve. Let's get really good at solving that one problem, because then there's no sales process anymore. It's really just solving a problem, right? I'm going to solve a problem. You're going to like the problem I'm going to solve. You're going to buy a product. You're going to refer me to your friends, and we're going to repeat this process over and over again. 100%. Here's a perfect example of sales. Literally took place in the past 2 episodes. Problem. I have a 12-year-old and 12-year-old at home. 2 girls. We're going to Cabo San Lucas next week for vacation. They love to do nails. They love to do girly things. They love to feel pretty. You just hooked me up with these Color Street nails. I look at it, I'm like, holy crap, these Color Street nails are going to be 10 times cheaper than the nails they're going to want to get at the spa next week at the resort. Because like, oh, I want these fancy dancy nails. And I'm like, no, you kids play in the sand. You jump in the water. You don't take care of them. Problem. If I get these now, you've prevented me from the pain or the loss of spending $60 or $70 for a manicure times 2 for 2 little girls. I'm like, I don't really want this, but I want my nails to look good for 4th of July. That you literally just made a sale right now without having to sell something because you solved a problem. You didn't even realize it. That's sales 101. Let me just solve a problem for you.
I think people are selling all the time and they don't even realize that they're selling. It doesn't have to be the hey girl in your inbox, you know? Yeah.
Direct sales people, don't be the hey girl.
Don't be the hey girl.
Don't be the hey girl.
Don't do the hey girl.
We know what you're trying to do.
We see you
right through.
Okay.
If I haven't spoken to you in the last 3 years and then you all of a sudden reach out to me, how's it going? What's new? And then bam, you want to sell me something? We're not going to get there. We're really not going to get there. Matter of fact, I'm a big fan. I'm a big advocate of social media. If you want me to know what you're doing and you want to know the problem I'm solving, and I'll share this right now. Catapulting Commissions family, if you're a direct salesperson, you're like, oh, I'm going to sell something to you, Anthony. Some of the best people who've reached out to me, who I've done business with in the past for different reasons, have reached out to me on social media and said, hey, I know you're incredibly busy. I just want, if you have an opportunity, watch this quick video. I mean, literally quick, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. I'm not jumping on a 5-minute, 10-minute Zoom call. I don't want to talk to your upline.
Oh, that's my least favorite.
If I have to put a fucking email to see it, I'm not doing it. Like, you literally need to send me the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
And when people do that to me, 100%, I had a video graphic designer who was like so adamant and want to get my business. I said, look, dude, you, and I told him, like, you emailed me in my inbox 50 freaking times. Send me an example of your work. If I'm interested, I'll reach back out to you. Send me an example of his work. Thought it was pretty decent. Reach back out to him. We haven't finalized the project, but at least he's having the conversation going. Same thing. If you're trying to sell something, hey, here's a quick example. If you want to sell your direct sales company, dude, record a video of your fun partying get together. Bam. Hey, check this out. I'm working with this great new company, Color Street. This was tons of fun we had. I don't want, and just tell people, take the takeaway close. I don't want to be that creepy person that comes in your inbox trying to sell you shit. Just thought you'd take a look at this. If you ever have any questions, reach out to me. Hope you and the family are well. If you did that, I'd be way more open to talking with you than the hey girl or hey guy in my situation.
Or I love gifts. You can gift things out to people.
Oh my goodness.
It's a love language. People love gifts. But like, here, try this. Oh, no, it's on me. Try it. I go to Starbucks all the time. And I'm like, oh, here, please. At the very least, I've made someone's day. I've made her smile, But I get so many customers that way.
I love what you're saying that. I give my book all the time. I give my book.
You gave it to me.
I gave it to you. Yeah. I give my book everywhere. I give a book. I give a copy of the book. There's a cost to me for the book, but I give it to you. And then as I go to like bigger coaching clients or bigger speaking opportunities, just the other day, I put hardcover copy books, personalized letter to a couple people who are looking for keynote speakers. Hey, here's who I am. Whether you hire me or not, here's what you know about me. Boom. You know what? It didn't work out this time. Doesn't mean it's not going to work out next time. Mm-hmm. And it's just that gift giving is awesome. Yeah. So.
With no expectations.
0 expectations. You have to have it because if you do, people read right through it right away. So Ashley, as we're wrapping up, we are partnering together. Can you help me out understand what are we doing this fall working with your team? I'd love to share with the Catapulting Commissions family what you're doing. This is exclusively for your team, but I just want the Catapulting Commissions family to know there are ways to collaborate and partner with myself and anybody on the Catapulting Commissions team.
I'm so excited. After reading your book, I think that our goal is to incorporate the book into our virtual book club. So everyone on our team will be reading the book, we'll be working through it, and then ideally have you come do a regional training for us where we do a goals workshop because, I'm a big fan of your goal setting process, which is our hope. And so people will probably come from all over within our company just to hear you talk. And, obviously we'll be covering Color Street things too, but we'll have you kind of like as our keynote speaker, which I'm really excited to be able to offer.
Well, I'm excited that this opportunity is coming to life. I'm equally humbled, excited to spend time with the Color Street family. I love the goal setting. If you're listening to this and you have a company and you want a book club, or you're like, hey, that's a great book, reach out directly to my team. 100%. We'd love to see you and tell you how we can partner with your company for a book club. I have no problem coming to do a virtual keynote or a live keynote for the right for the right arrangement, for the right virtual, for the right group. I've done book clubs as small as 6 to 8 employees, as large as 600 to 800. I am completely there to work with you. So I think that's an awesome opportunity. Thank you for having me. But what I love most about this, we're supporting the Bakersfield economy together,
yes,
right? Homegrown. Ashley, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Can we come back, let's say 6 months to a year, do this episode again? This time we'll have, you said, can we do this with a drink? I have
cocktails,
no problem. We'll have a cocktail.
Okay.
We can have conversation. I made a joke. If Joe Rogan can do all kinds of crap on his show, I can do it on mine.
I believe you said smoking weed.
I did say, we're not going to smoke weed, but Joe Rogan smokes weed on his show.
I'm just calling you out.
I appreciate it. There's zero fakeness here, 100% authenticity, right? Shot by Dane Media, thanks for the support. You guys are doing great work. Powerhouse Podcasting, 100% thanks for the studio. We rented this out. We are bringing more live guests to the Bakersfield studio. Bakersfield family, if you're listening to this and you have a guest you think is a great recommendation, reach out directly to my team and we'll vet the guest out. If it's the right fit, we'd love to bring them on the show. Catapulting Commissions family, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you next week.